Okay, so I'm going to try this thing again today where I have the photograph blurred so that I don't really see the details when I'm starting, and it's mostly to hopefully give everybody a sense of it's like how I'm seeing it. I mean, obviously I'm really seeing all the details that are out there when I'm painting, but I'm have trained myself to ignore those details. So that's what this is to help you do also. And I'm just going to draw my little line here all around. That is going to be where my mat goes. And I've been feeling kind of like okay, you know, I always say I take a half an inch, and people kind of act like that's ridiculous, that's too much. And so I've been worrying about it, of course. And what I've really been worrying about is I've been framing and doing it myself. I'm not a professional framer. Not having all this extra space is making it more stressful for me. So I'm going to go back and do really the half an inch all the way around. And I do down here, you can't see it, but I have the tape. So my paper is already marked off at the half an inch down here. I'll just draw the line to kind of make sure you remember that I did do it. Okay, so got a sort of a big thing of trees here. Got this little thing of land that comes across here. Oh, maybe it's too far down actually. So there's this. Maybe more like that. This little thing of marsh grass. This is going to need to be divided into two things. And here's the little marsh grass business that sticks off from this row of trees. I'm going to just add a little more space in there between this row and that row. Come around like that. You know, when I'm painting outdoors, I'm always using like a paintbrush to measure and compare things. So if I check against my photograph, from the bottom of my the photograph to the bottom of the first row of trees, that's 1, and it's about 2 to the second row of trees, and about 1/3. So I would say this is 1, 2. So this, I've got this is up too high, so this needs to come down. So the best way to get better at drawing, and I realize I've got to make a drawing video, a measuring video, although I think I explained it pretty well in my book, which you can buy for $4.99 on Amazon. A Painter's Diary, I think it's called. But if you put in my name, you'll find it, because it's the only book I've written. So you draw first, you measure, and then you redraw, and that helps you get better at seeing proportions. If you measure first, or if you use a grid, then you're relying on that grid or that measuring first to so you get better at measuring, is what I'm afraid is what happens, instead of getting better at drawing. And what you want to do is get better at drawing. So all right, so I got that tree kind of in here. I think maybe this needs to be a little shorter. So I can check that too. I can check how far is it from the top? Like, where's the middle here? So the middle is just below that tree line. So I should have grabbed something longer. So that's tree line needs to come down just a little bit more. So from the bottom, yeah, it's still. Then of course, when you measure things, you need to remember. Okay, so that's about right. So this is the bottom of those trees. And then yeah, if you're measuring things, you got to remember what you're actually doing. 1, 2, 3, just under 4. So 1, 2, 3. So yeah, so it's still too tall. So it needs to come down more, but it also needs to get shorter up here. And the other thing I always do is when I'm redrawing, so I drew it, I measured it, I corrected it, and then I erased what was wrong. And unless it just gets too like complicated to do that, like if things are just too messy. It should be a really simple drawing, but it's just having a little trouble. Also, my easel is up a little high. Oh, I know. I can make my chair higher, silly me. I got a chair that goes up just for these problems that sometimes it's easier to move the chair than the easel. All right, so here comes that first row back there of those marsh grasses. And then here's this one. And one thing people always are saying is don't let things like this line come right down into the corner. So try to make sure that things like that miss your corner, because when things go straight down into the corner like that, like right into the corner of your page, it leads your eye out of the painting. And that's also why I decided to, I'm going to come back and put some of these little thingies in, little grasses and stuff. And this is pretty interesting that way over here is the smallest part of that reflection. And then we'll see about this business here too. That's just, it's there if I want it. I want to be sure I know where my reflection is, because that's going to also help me put in my house, which is something I just dropped in with Photoshop, so I'm not 100% sure about it. Now that I look at it again, I feel like the perspective might not be right for where it is, so maybe I'll probably try to fix that in the photograph for people. I decided to do the little house over here because I felt like that once again I'd gotten a composition that was way too weighted toward this left-hand side. I tried flipping the photograph so that most of the interest would be on the right-hand side, but I didn't like it as well. And I don't know if that's just because I'd already spent so much time looking at it one way, or is it because I know that's not right. Having taken this photograph, I did take myself. I also wanted to work on the gray paper today instead of the red paper, because I want to try to do a better job showing you, starting when everything's green like this, how to start the colors. How to start the green without using every green that you own right away. Try to start with other colors besides the green. The other colors you're seeing in the picture besides the green. So yeah, I don't know if the house is a good idea or not. And I wanted to be sure it was kind of buried in here, so and I'm also kind of worrying that maybe I should have reversed the lighting on it, that I've got the light backwards on it, that really this should be the dark side. It's funny, I looked at this a long time, but I wasn't looking at it while I was painting it, and now that I'm painting it, I start to see certain mistakes that I made in the manipulation of the photograph. Okay, so let's just say that's good for now. There's some really dark parts in here I want to be sure I get in. And the other thing I decided I was going to do is I was going to try to start this really super dark, and then do a better job working up from the dark to the light. All along here, I think this has to be a different thing because the edges are darker. And I'm not going to get all involved trying to draw all that in right now. But I want to be sure I keep track of the fact that this is a vertical plane compared to the horizontal planes up here. And my house is somewhere in here. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna start with the sky, and I'm just gonna try to force myself to go darker. For one thing, I've been kind of worried myself about getting things too light, and then too light too fast, and then kind of blowing out my lights, and then it's hard to come back and get things darker again. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to start dark. And I want to fix that little drawing situation right there. This needs to come up more, I think. All right, so like that. And a good plan is when you're working on something that has a reflection is to go ahead and, or anything with water, is go ahead and do the water at the same time you do the, like when I do the sky, I want to do the reflection of the water in the sky. And I'm going to paint right over all these, like I put these in, these little indicators for where my reeds would be, but those are just markers to help me with composition. So now I want to just come over them. And I'm not going to do anything else to this. I'm going to see if I can do just one color everywhere and not get too involved with stuff. Okay, and so one problem with pastels is the darks. You just don't have a tremendous number of darks. That's like a weakness, just a weakness in the pastels. So that is why, because I don't really want to use black, so I use a lot of this really dark blue, and this is the Prussian Blue, and they've made one step darker than they even used to have before. So this is 508.2, but either one, 508.2 or 508.3. In fact, this might be the 0.3. Is fine. And it darkens up so much after it's sprayed that it's just a great alternative to having to use black. Okay, so that's that tree there, and so obviously something else has to be done about this. And you know, one of my favorite little tricks here is to use red whenever I'm trying to make a darker green that needs to be in front. I oftentimes will use red. The problem always, same old problem, when you figure out something that works, it keeps you from trying to figure out something else that works. So that's, to me, the problem with learning anything, is that it just kind of, it means you quit searching. If you find something that works well enough, then you quit searching for you know, something else that might work better. I used to teach a lot of different places where I had to take all my own lights, and I used to be really, like, I would just spend forever setting up this whole environment to make it as perfect as possible for what I considered as perfect as possible for my students. And I just remember so clearly standing there saying to myself one day that, wow, I had really figured it out. I had really figured out how to do the lights in the most efficient way, so that everybody had really good light on their setup, and that hopefully people could see their pastels and stuff. And the minute I said it, I like took a second look, and all of a sudden I just came up with what I thought was a better idea. So it's really, really important to not think you got anything figured out. And I just remember so well, too, the sad day when I said to myself, wow, Janine, you have really figured out how to paint grass. And, well, there, lost that piece. And, but I thought that piece was this piece anyway, so. Anyway, that sad day, I was like, oh, you really figured out how to paint grass, Janine. Oops, I just put that in the wrong place because I was too busy talking and not thinking. And after that, it was like every time I went out to paint grass from then on, it was like a nightmare. It was like I had no idea what to do to paint grass. Yeah, so it's better to be a no, not no, than a no. Wouldn't it be funny if I made the house green? Why not? And I'm going to make the right side a little lighter because the right sides of the trees are a little lighter. They're facing the direction of would be south here. So they're facing that direction of the sunshine a little more, I think. Or not sunshine, but you know, where the sun would be behind the clouds. No, is this going to be too light? Probably. No, not you. All right, there you go. The only green thing in the house, in the painting, is the thing that's not green. Okay, so I didn't even really put in much lights and darks. I just mushed everything right together. But now I want to come back and put in the lights if I can. A little bit on the. Yeah. Okay, and then back here. So on a gray day, this is pretty much basically a gray day. And on a gray day, so the things that are lit up are really just the tops of things. There's no cast shadows, particularly in this piece. I don't know why there's that little lighter piece of green there. I don't know. I might have been, who knows. I think I am going to make it. This is going to be one of the lighter things in my painting, just this piece of grass coming across here. That. On a gray day, you don't have strong value contrast, and you have, there's more violet everywhere. It's actually cool days. Gray days are actually warmer than sunny days, because on a sunny day you have the sky, which is blue, making everything pretty cold, and sometimes the sky, you know, the bluer the sky is, the colder the whole painting can end up. And then you do have warm colors from the sun, but on a gray day, the sky, where the clouds cover the sky, it's a much warmer color than it is on a sunny day. So that means that violet is more of your control for a gray day. So a lot of times you don't get to use much violet on a sunny day, because there isn't much violet. It's more of a blue and yellow thing going on. But on a gray day, then there's a lot more violet. So if you're having trouble making your gray day look gray, one thing you could, and not to make a rule or a formula, but one thing you could ask yourself, do I have too much yellow in my gray day painting? Or do I have too much blue? Do I need more violets? Yeah, so when I think of like sort of things like that that are tips, I guess they're tips. I don't think of them as something that you should say, oh yeah, Janine said always use violet on a gray day. It's more like Janine said, if you're having trouble making your gray day look like a gray day, if you're having trouble getting it out of the sunshiny range, then use more violets and use less blues and yellows. So here is a place too. I said I was going to keep trying to make things dark, keep things kind of dark and work up to the lights. It's just keep being really, it's hard to resist using the lighter, something lighter right here. But I'm going to stick with what I said I was, I'm going to try to stick with what I said I was doing. All right, so the thing that's the most not accurate at this moment is the sky. So I guess I better work on that some more. Just thinking. I do, as always say, I try not to think that much. Thinking is overrated in painting, I feel. That it's better just to try stuff and see how it looks than to think about it. And the only time I ever sort of test, sometimes you can't see it, but off here on the edge of my paper, sometimes I'll test to see if a pastel is what I think it is. But just to see if it's, if it's dirty or something and not really the color I think it is. But I don't really test, because a test done somewhere on another piece of paper or something is not going to be, it doesn't give you the information you need because it's not right there on the paper that you're working on. This seems pretty wacko to me. But I don't know, I just decided to do whatever. I always say I do whatever crosses my mind, but sometimes I am kind of filtering out things that are crossing my mind that maybe I think have no business in my mind at that moment. And but right, I have to keep myself entertained. I can't just always do what I think will work or what I'm more sure will work. I'm not really sure about anything, but I kind of hate it in the situations like right now where I'm drawing, I'm painting, but I'm also drawing. But it's just, I don't want to, don't feel like sitting here drawing all these clouds in. Yeah, right then, now I don't know, did I just go way too light, or is it just that now the whole painting's so dark, anything light I do looks too light. So that also is the only problem, really, I think, with making what we tend to call mistakes, still looking for that better word, than mistakes, because... Yep, that's you. Is it really a mistake? Or is it just, that was really a mistake. That was a time I should have tested. My pastel had so much purple on it. I thought it was a darker purple than, I didn't know it was green. So mistakes are just things that help you steer onto the right path. There's really no mistakes, in my opinion, in painting, except like that, where it's just absolutely not what you thought it was. Oh yeah, and I forgot I was supposed to keep getting those in there. All right, you stay there. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, you remember what I said about no mistakes? Well, the thing is, yes, I'm not getting what I want, but I am narrowing it down so that I can get what I want. I am working my way toward getting what I want here. And now I realize that changing that, this needs to be darker right in here. Let's see, what can I use back there? I think I have to break something. Yeah, mostly, maybe you can tell, I didn't talk about it at all, but I tend to break off these pieces that are about like half an inch long. And then I'm working with the flat side. Okay, so see here, I can tell that is, the sky needs to be way lighter than the trees. So maybe I don't want to have to go as that light with the sky yet. So I just knock that back down with the tree, with some violet in the trees. But I am going to need to go lighter back there. Yeah, lighter than that, but I don't like the other light I've got going on back there. This pink, I don't like that. Oh, good. So I got an even lighter color. Yippee! And I gotta do something about this over here too. I think I need that really dark blue in there too. Okay. I don't want that darker. Maybe I could. Yeah, this got away from me. All right, so I'm just gonna do a little more up here, and then I'm starting, it's like, you know, it's already getting kind of covered with a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna have to spray it pretty soon here. I can't do too much more. Oh man, okay, yep. Sometimes I was thinking, what am I going to do about now? Like, everything's such a weirdo color. But yeah, that's kind of a good thing, because every green you put on, then what happens? It's a great thing if you can stick with not using a lot of green in the beginning. Then when you do put green on, it looks too green, and that's sort of good, because that's what I was trying to avoid, was just making everything green. Oh, I didn't actually realize there were 2 rows of trees back there. Back along here. So let's see if I can do anything about that. And then a little darker right behind that. No, that is not a little darker. And neither is that. I think this means, and I said I was going to do it, and I didn't do it all summer, I need to clean these pastels. All right, so let's see, anything else? Yeah, I know the house isn't drawn right again, but let's see if I can fix that real quick. Oh, way too bright, huh? Okay, I'm just going to grab a gray, because I know I can pick up the right value gray. I seem to be having some trouble getting my right value. All right. All right, so now I'm going to spray it. And I'm going to do one more thing right there, because I never used another color there. That's just the first color I used, that brown. Okay, now I'm going to quit.